in. So just let me tune the stream. You can see what you'll be writing. And we will continue our build. I will also switch off the light so that we focus. We can focus on the build. And just give me a second. I don't know why we're having problems with stream on the Facebook. I don't know what happened with Facebook stream. It doesn't want to connect at all, like completely. Well, at least you can see it on the YouTube. So I hope you'll see everything nicely. The only suggestion is to do the change in the video quality. So you just go in the YouTube panel and change it to 720p so that you can see everything in high definition. I really recommend it because you will see everything in detail and it will do. Actually, my intention was to do a bit of paint before we join online altogether, but as you can see, it turned out that it is worth gluing a lot of parts straight away because later they will be painted, and that's why I decided to do it at once. And why I'm decided also switched on the swipe stream because I'm still gluing some parts into the plate, so it's worth doing it together. But here you can see that our vehicle now looks more like a real vehicle, let's say, because as you can see now we have a bonnet in place. No worries, this part is not glued. We also have window frame cut out, have this ram bar in place. Overall, fitment is nice. You can see it, for example, on this door. And note that seats are still not in place because I will have to paint the lower section. Here you can see it. And also I will have to paint the back. I think I will paint it gray because what I see on the vehicles is that we have this part leather and this part is also metal, so it can be black, gray, whatever color, painted in gray. Now what I'm doing next, I decided to install everything on the wheel arches, the frontal ones. Note that they're already glued in place. And now we have to install such an element which will hold the air filter, as far as you can see. And actually that's not an air filter, that's a white, but nevertheless. Just give me a second. I'll try to apply some glue. I've just received the Tempest from Word. Just a small hint, so you know what to expect in future video reviews. I'm not sure when it will be online though, because I would like to do a bit of format change on this review. It will be a small surprise, but believe me, it will be soon. So stay tuned. For now, I'm gluing this part in place. Note that I'm not that careful with the paint. Why? Because it will be still recovered or covered again with paint. The only thing I'm worried about is dust, because dust is quite prominent in our and it is really tricky to avoid dust getting in all necessary spots. Nevertheless, we have this part glued here, and now what we are going to do, actually I'm a bit confused because part on the picture it has the special raised spot, but plastic part does not, and that's the right part. So actually, in order to install part B18, I will show you in a second. Just give me a second. Okay, so here you can see this part B43. As you can see, it has a specialized, let's say, hole, which will house this special light on the vehicle. But we don't have hole. Part in the original plastic is plain, so I'm not sure what to do with it. I guess we will have to fix it in place somehow without having a hole. So just let's try it. I'll sew it off. What I really like about this vehicle is that we don't have a lot of tools on this car, so basically we won't have to spend a lot of time with wood painting. From the other side we have rifles, which have the wooden parts, so basically we get approximately the same amount of wooden parts as in some tank kits. Okay, what I'm doing is I would like to replicate a bit of damage to this part so that it won't look new. And that's why I'm placing the file over the part and just sanding a bit in order to get a rough look. And now note that this part has the special slot for installation into the recessed hole. So that's quite funny in my opinion. Not having an actual element, but having the part designed to be used with it. Just give me a second to go around this part because we have a bit of flash. By the way, what I noticed is that we have bit of flash on the parts on B sprue. No other sprue has the same amount of flash, or it doesn't have, they don't have like flash at all, but this sprue is different. So it is up to you how you solve it, but you just have to solve it. And what I'm going to do is to cut this pin because it won't be used. So basically we won't need it. And we'll just cut it off in order to have a plain surface. Now just a bit of sanding. I was actually thinking about giving some weathering to the engine, but when you open this engine panel or bonnet panel, you actually see that there is almost nothing visible. So maybe I'll give some washes to this part, but that will be pretty much all, in my opinion. That's more than enough. Okay, so we have this part installed and ready, not installed, but ready to be installed. And I'm going to use CA glue because otherwise it will be really tricky to get it straight away in place. So just wish me luck. Let's go. Okay, so I apply CA glue on one end of the part. Let's bring it closer. And hands are shaking because I have a small temperature at the moment, so feeling slightly ill, but that's nothing serious, nothing what can stop true modeler from modeling. Anyway, I mean, I'm not dying, so there is no excuse to miss this build. And just small alignment corrections. But that's the beauty of the super glue. You just touch the part and it is good to go. With this white green glue, you will be adjusting everything back and forth, especially with such thin connection, it will be really tricky. So that's why I decided to resort to such element. Next we have 82. 82 is actually part C9. I'm going to install headlamps straight away because later it will be a bit messy to do so. So that's why we are going to cut it off. The port C9, as you can see, it is quite small, and we have small light bulb carefully replicated with plastic. So I will paint it obviously after build will be finished. Okay, we have it sanded. I'll just close the C glue so that we won't have problems with this part. And just small sanding, a bit of sanding to the leg, which will be holding part in place, because otherwise it won't stay in the right spot. So now what we are going to do is to have this part glued here, and surprising is that it stays without any glue, but obviously we will have to apply the glue because this part will have to be painted later, and once we move it with a brush, it will be messy. So that's why we are going to use this small bit of glue. And again, small friendly reminder, don't forget to change the video quality on YouTube stream, because it will be completely different what you see in the video. So we have one headlamp fixed in place, and now it looks more like a real car, not like something grotesque. And I saw dust here. And okay, so now we are moving to the next headlamp. Again, that's a C sprue, and again it's part C9. And what I'm not sure is where we would use the big headlamps, because all the parts in this build should be used, but it turns out that those big headlamps will stay. Maybe we can apply them on the frontal protection bars, but I don't think that this is a good idea. So we are going just to leave them in place. Okay, so we have another part, and I need the file. Let's damage this headlamp a bit more so that it looks a bit scratched and torn. The more uneven you are, the better it will be looking. And okay, so now it should be okay. Don't go overboard with this because it will look weird, but once you see that it looks more or less nice, just stop it and don't try to add more. The less is more, right? So that's why always use this rule in modeling. Okay, so we have another headlamp in place, and now we are going to apply a small bit of glue. I don't remember if I said if I told you that those wings wheel arches were aligned not in the right way in the first time, but then I just let's say separated the pieces and connected them together so that we have slight overlap in the rear part. That's how it should be. You can see it on the photos of the real vehicle. So be careful with this, and actually there wasn't any problem with fitment in this way, so it's my fault, and we have it corrected on this model already. So I'm just going to align headlamps a bit so that they stay in place. Okay, now it looks good. What next? We need part B37, part B39. It's nice to see that part B starts to, let's say, get stripped of the parts, because otherwise it would be really sad to see it without parts being removed. And I'm just trying to understand what we have to do, because it's part B34. Okay. Yeah. Now I got it. So just give me a second once again. And it flew away. But no worries, I got it. So we have it in place. And now just going to remove. I'm a bit surprised with kit engineering, frankly speaking, because we have a lot of elements which are attached by the face surface. I mean, this side which will be actually visible, and the part which will be glued somewhere, which will be hidden from our eye, it is left not connected. I'm not sure what influenced on such design, I would say, but that's really strange, because I mean, that's quite obvious that you have to have parts in the right spot without being attached via the visible section. So it's really interesting why ICM has such quality, I would say, in this kit. Because, by the way, in the previous kits, I haven't met such design in previous ICM kits. So now we are going to glue this part, which will be used for the side mirror. Again, we need a bit of green glue. So just give me a second. Okay, so this in place. Note that I decided to glue it without side mirror. Side mirror will be attached in the next step. Why? Because it will be a bit tricky process. So it's better to have one part fixed in place thoroughly and then just glue another element with tweezers, obviously. So now I'm going to sand it a bit, because we have part not in round shape, and obviously mirror was not angled from one side, it was all round. So that's why it is really important to have proper cleaning. Okay, so I place it here. And let's use just a bit of sanding. That's a tricky thing about round parts, because you obviously trying to make them, to clean them carefully, but then you damage somehow the circle, and then you try to fix it, and then you're damaged more and more and more and more, and then you end up with quite funny result. But I think mine looks more or less okay, so we are just going to have this glue. And do the process with 2 hands. again but it doesn't work, obviously. So if it doesn't work, I'm going to use the super glue because we don't have time for this. We all want to see model in ready condition, so that's why we go to CA glue. And yes, I'm using the toothpick because that's the easiest and the fastest way to apply the glue. Okay, so just remove a bit of excess glue, retouch it slightly. And then we glue it in the wrong spot. Cool. That's the funny part about this element, that if you try to do it with two separate pieces, it would be even more tricky. So that's why I decided to do it this way. And now I have super glue on my fingers. That's also quite a nice feature to have. So again, another try. And it doesn't glue. I just wonder if we should resort to Tamiya glue or we should continue trying with CA glue. Okay, so we have here the cap. I'll close it. Now we try to do again with Tamiya glue. This part does not glue to plastic, but it does glue to my finger. That's the coolest feature of this element. Just to be sure, I'll cover the glue with this. I guess I just should hold it in place for a bit. So let's do it. That's the most enjoyable part. You know, the thing about this build is that in the beginning you're like, yeah, wow, I'm doing this model really great. And then you start to go into the last steps. And that's where it shows you that there are some things to consider, you know. That's not as easy as you thought to be when you're stuck with such small pieces and have to apply them one by one under various angles, etc., etc. So we have this mirror fixed in place, and there are also screen wipers. Obviously we won't be able to attach them now. I decided to glue them a bit later. And what we are going to do now is to check the fitment of the roof, I guess, because otherwise we have almost all parts in place. So roof will be attached here and somewhere here, but I'm just not clear on how it should be connected, because on the photo this section actually reaches the small pins on the sides, but when I place this part here it does not. So in order to reach it we have to move part a bit like this, and then we have this roof somewhere here. So here you can see how it would look like with the roof in place. Quite interesting, I would say, result. And what else we can do is to, just give me a second, is to install the steering wheel. I'm not sure if steering wheel will go there without any problem. I mean, if we have the steering wheel, if there is, if it is difficult to install the seat. So that's why I'm going to install another right door. I will have them fixed in place and it will be interesting to do it together. Let's remove the roof. And we are going to cut off the right door. I glued the handles, the door handles, both inside and outside. So they're already in place. And what we are going to do is to cut off those leftovers from connection points. And install this door in place. That's funny about, the funny part about this vehicle is that doors are actually the same in the front and in the rear. Obviously that's a military vehicle, that's why it was done this way. But still, quite an interesting thing to note. Okay, what I'm doing is sanding the edge, because edge will be visible. That's why we have to have it really smooth and nice. And I maybe even will scrape a bit in order to have door look good. Okay, so we turn the vehicle over, install this door in place. And again, the really good thing about these doors is that fitment is really good if you have everything done nicely. Note that it holds without any additional glue, but I'm going to add glue because otherwise we will have really funny time trying to hold everything in place. So what I'm doing is I'm going to add it on the lower surface because it will be barely visible, and that's why we can be really generous with glue amount here. Don't press this part when you're gluing, because otherwise you end up with you will erase the connection between parts and they will become interconnected and it will look really weird on the finished vehicle. So here you can see there's two doors in place. And what else we can do? I see that all minor elements are in place. And note that, by the way, what was it? That was the front glass. As you can see, it is attached by this frame, so that's what I recommend to do, is to break off this frame and only then start cutting the frame, the window frame, because otherwise you have quite a funny time trying to avoid moving on the sprue, because as you can see we have one attachment point to the sprue of this subframe, let's say, so that's why it is really dangerous to cut it that way. And what else? On the B sprue we have only two parts left. That's elements which will hold spare wheel in place, here and here. What we are going to do is to glue this part in place here, and then to have it painted on the sprue. Then I will cut it off and attach wheel, obviously. As you can see, wheels are still not painted. And what I found out is that when we have it, the wheels installed, vehicle has quite weird wheels alignment. I'm not going to show it right now, because as you can see there are some minor problems with wheels attachment. But I have to find out how to have wheels fixed in the right position. Otherwise it will be a bit weird vehicle in a stance style, and I am not quite a fan of such car modification, let's say, style. Here you can see, let's do the demo, how the spare wheel will be held in place. So as far as you can see, there is special tube which will place it in the right position, and then we have it fixed thoroughly without any possible problems. I'm not going to paint vehicle now because unfortunately that's already 11 p.m. and I think my neighbors won't appreciate it. I will paint it tomorrow in the morning, and that's why we will have to move a little bit faster. Tomorrow will be also applied the clear coat, and obviously clear coat will be the first step before decals application. After decals application, we will be doing the weathering, and weathering will be basically the finishing touch to this build. So that's all for this video review. What I'm going to do is to put this vehicle here in the box so we won't get more dust. I think it will fit here, and actually it does not. So it became longer. It is growing. That's not a problem. I have the cover for this. And what we did today is basically attaching two doors. I will show it like this. Attaching two doors here. Here you can see them. Also, we did install this special bar in the interior. We installed various handles in the interior. And what else? We installed bonnet, obviously, wheel arches, headlamps, tools, the special light, masking light. We also installed this front mask, and I will try to focus the camera so that you can see it thoroughly on YouTube. Now you should be able to see it. And what we also did, we installed the special holders for the fuel tanks or fuel cans. We installed minor elements all around the body, and obviously we installed this and the rear side view mirror. And that's pretty much all. Here you can see the frontal built in place, so it will be removable. Actually, it will be open, but I will do it a bit later. And what I'm not sure yet is how to glue the rifles, because there are special attachment points for both rifles, but they have to be painted first, obviously, and interior is not painted yet, so it will be another task to solve. Here we have, by the way, the steering wheel. Don't forget that we will have to glue it inside. And also I have to apply decals here on the dashboard, but I think I will do it a bit later. Why? Because I won't be attaching the window frame before the weathering. I will do it a bit later. It will be, I will assemble the window frame to have the wipers and glass in place, but it will be attached to the vehicle later with help of super glue. And here you can see the small hint of the final appearance of this part on the vehicle. Here it is. Quite nice result, I think it will be. So let's hope tomorrow we will have it painted, doors fixed in place, one door will be open, and who knows what else we will modify on this vehicle. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me. Thank you for joining. I'll see you tomorrow when we will have the vehicle ready to be weathered. And just to remind you that we won't be really, let's say, crazy with weathering. We will be doing the really moderate amount of dust and dirt. Dirt will be mainly used on under surfaces, and then we will have it finished in few steps. So that's all for today. I'm just cleaning this tiny part which will be holding wheel in place. I will glue it in the necessary area, and build will be left to dry so that glue holds everything in place thoroughly. And of course I will see you tomorrow in our live build session, and I will be happy to hear let's say, your opinion here in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button. And of course, you can support us by pressing the donate button on our website and choosing the amount you would like to send us via PayPal. Be sure that all this money will be used for new photo and video equipment. So again, thank you and see you tomorrow. Bye.